Hello, beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video, where we're going to be talking about what quarantine can teach us about faith, family, and friends. So we've all been in quarantine for quite some time now, or at least sheltering in place or staying at home. And I think for all of us, it's just been a huge adjustment. We've gone from just living our normal lives to the coronavirus hitting the world and us just learning how to deal with it. Of course, some states are opening up. I'm lucky enough to be living in Nebraska, so we've got some restaurants that are opening and some stores that are opening up as well, and that makes things easier. But even with that, we're still social distancing, we're still wearing masks, we still can't really travel, and so things are just totally different than what we're used to. And on top of that, this is just a really scary time. We're afraid for the people that we love, we're afraid for the economy, we're afraid for people losing their jobs, and I think it's just really hard for all of us to figure out exactly what to make of this whole time. And what can we learn and sort of take away into the future as this all kind of returns to normal? So as I was sitting and thinking about what I wanted to record, it sort of came to me that I wanted to talk about how this has encouraged me to think about my faith, how it's encouraged me to think about my family, and how it has encouraged me to think about my friends. So let's talk about some new perspectives I've taken away through this time and how we can incorporate that into our lives moving forward. The first thing I want to talk about is faith. Now, as you guys know, I was raised Orthodox. My husband was raised Reform. The two of us are now aspiring to be Orthodox and more observant. And so faith is really important to us because those values are really important to how we want to live our lives and raise our family. And it also is important to us because we love our community. Well, as I'm sure a lot of you know that are religious, this has been a really hard time. Synagogues are closed, churches are closed, mosques are closed. People can't congregate in their communities to worship God, and that's just a totally different experience. So much of religion is community-based, which is such a beautiful thing. But of course, there's also this huge part of religion, which is between us, the individuals, and God. And something I've really noticed during this whole quarantine is that you can't depend on your community to stabilize your faith. What I mean by that is that I think a lot of the time we use community as a way to bolster our faith in the times that we're struggling instead of looking and trying to find answers. And so there might be times that you're really struggling with your faith or really questioning things, and instead of taking the time to go and ask the questions or look deeper into the Bible or scriptures, we end up just saying, well, I don't want to lose my community, or I can go hang out with my Jewish friends or Christian friends, and that'll stabilize my faith. Well, something that I've wanted to take advantage of during this quarantine is that I can't use my community as a crutch right now. And I love my community. So that's not to say that the community structure of religion is generally a crutch, but sometimes you'll use your community to convince yourself that you don't have to ask questions, even if those questions are kind of eating away at you. And so you end up just kind of sweeping the questions under the carpet because you love being part of the community. And you might even find yourself going to services at church or synagogue because you want to hang out with your friends or be part of your community, and the prayer aspect of it is so much less than that. Or you might even skip the prayer and just come for the socialization afterward. And it's an interesting thing because quarantine is forcing those of us who are religious to really look into our relationship between us and God. So I know that for me, I've had to sit down and really think about the questions that I've had and examine those. And I've almost had a more open dialogue with God because I can't just depend on community to make myself feel the importance of religion. The basis of my faith lately has really been turning to God when times are hard and celebrating with Him when things are good and investing time into my personal relationship with God, with the laws that I keep, with the Bible, with the scriptures, with the Torah. All of those things for me have allowed my religious beliefs to grow even deeper. So that's one thing I really think we can take away from this after quarantine is to keep working on your individual relationship with God instead of just depending on your community to stabilize your faith. And it's just an interesting thing that I didn't necessarily see coming as a result of quarantine. And so I think for a lot of us, this could be a make or break moment for our faith. It will really either shake the core of our belief system because we depended so heavily on our community to stabilize it, or we can really delve deeper into our individual relationship with God and strengthen it. So this is a cool opportunity for us to take the time and invest that time to grow our personal relationship to our faith. The next one is family. I know that for me, it's been really hard because my husband and I are isolated out here in Nebraska. It's just the two of us, but I thank God every day for the technology that we have and that I'm here with my husband. And I think this is a really wonderful lesson for a lot of us of how important family time is. I think this is a beautiful time for us to really delve into and explore how important family and family time is. How lovely it is that we've gotten more time to spend at home. I'm sure kids are really appreciating that they get to spend more time with dad or mom if dad and mom work a lot. And of course, this has been really hard because the kids are not in school and there's not really a break. But at the same time, we're learning how core and important family is, because we can't just go out and do whatever to distract ourselves. We really have to be with people, and that's our support system. And family has become such an important part of our lives. And family is what's getting us through these really hard times right now, because it's very difficult to figure out who to depend on during this whole coronavirus pandemic. So it's a wonderful thing that we've had an opportunity to spend more time with family, to have family dinners, that we're seeing grandparents are staying with their kids to help them take care of the grandkids, or we see that cousins or uncles are moving in together to help each other just make it through the day. And that's a really beautiful thing. I think quarantine is just such a great reminder of how important family is. And I think sometimes that can get really lost in the bustle and shuffle of daily life and ambition. And putting family at the forefront right now is such an integral part to the growth of a society. And we're seeing that people are appreciating their parents more because their parents are coming and helping with the grandkids. And for the people who they're having a harder time because this is all very close quarters and it can cause a lot more fights and a lot more bickering, it's also a really good opportunity for people to take this time and work on their relationships. I think that's been something that's not really been talked about, that you kind of just have to make it through. But I think this is the perfect time to work on your relationship because there's nothing else to do. There's nowhere else to go. And if you have a relationship that's important to you and is worth you putting the time in, you are never going to have more time than right now. Family is such a beautiful thing. It's such a traditional value that I think gets lost sometimes, and quarantine is really putting the focus back on family. The last thing that quarantine is teaching us is about friendship. And I have seen such an incredible thing happen. My husband and I are very extroverted people. We're very social. We love hanging out with friends and having get-togethers and all of that. And I think it's really hard when you're living across the country from your friends because you make time for the people that you can actually go out with. Most people aren't doing double dates over Zoom generally. And this is the first time where your friend down the street is exactly the same as your friend 100 miles away, 300 miles away, 3,000 miles away, because you can't see your friend down the block, you can't see that friend either. And so you have to do Zoom calls no matter who it is. You have to do Zoom calls or you have to do video chats or whatever, and you're making the same time for a friend that's in your city as you are for a friend that's far away. And I think in a lot of ways, it's revivifying how social we really are and those social connections that we've built from a long time ago. There are friends that my husband and I hadn't talked to for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden we're having a double date, and we probably wouldn't have had that had this pandemic not happened. It's teaching us the importance of keeping up those relationships, and taking the time for a virtual date every now and then with your friends is a really nice thing. I don't think that the frequency of that's going to last, because as people can go out, they're going to want to return to kind of in-person, face-to-face contact. But I think people will still remember and keep in mind that they can make a double date night at home with a friend who's across the country. And I love the idea that we're all really rebuilding connections between people that hadn't talked in a long time because we have the time and we can't leave the house anyways. It's an interesting thing that as we're all social distancing, a lot of us are getting closer to. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave a comment and tell me something you've learned during quarantine. If you agree with things that I'm talking about, if you're exploring your faith more, or if you are finding the value in your family. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and blog if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Hit that like button. Please head over to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!